Dear friends, welcome all to this fifth edition of FB Live series of ജനസംസ്കൃതി. ലോകജനതയെ മുഴുവൻ ഭീതിയിലാക്കിയ കൊറോണ എന്ന മഹാമാരിയെ പ്രതിരോധിക്കുന്നതിനായി മെയ് 3 വരെ സമ്പൂർണ്ണ ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ച് നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യം പ്രതിരോധ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ നടത്തിവരുന്നു. ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ ജനസംസ്കൃതി പ്രവർത്തകർ വിവിധ രൂപങ്ങളിൽ ദുരിതബാധിതരെ സഹായിക്കുന്നതിനൊപ്പം എങ്ങനെ ഈ കാലയളവ് ക്രിയാത്മകമായി വിനിയോഗിക്കാം എന്ന ആലോചനയുടെ ഭാഗമായി ആരംഭിച്ച FB ലൈവ് പ്രഭാഷണ പരമ്പരയുടെ 5ാം ദിവസമാണ് ഇന്ന്. ഈ ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ നമ്മുടെ ജീവിതത്തിന്റെ സമസ്ത മേഖലകളെയും സാരമായി തന്നെ ബാധിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. വരും കാലങ്ങളിൽ ഇതിന്റെ പ്രത്യാഘാതം കൂടുതൽ സങ്കീർണമാകുമെന്ന് വിദഗ്ധർ ഇതിനോടകം വിലയിരുത്തിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. തകർന്നിരിക്കുന്ന കാർഷിക രംഗത്തിന് ഈ ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ ഏൽപ്പിച്ച ആഘാതം വളരെ വലുതാണ്. ഉൽപാദന ചെലവിനനുസരിച്ച് ഉൽപ്പന്നങ്ങൾക്ക് ന്യായമായ വില ലഭിക്കുന്നില്ല. ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്കുണ്ടാകുന്ന പ്രകൃതിക്ഷോഭവും കാലാവസ്ഥാ വ്യതിയാനവും മൂലം കർഷകർക്കുണ്ടാകുന്ന നഷ്ടം വളരെ വലുതാണ്. ദുരിതമനുഭവിക്കുന്ന കർഷകരെ സഹായിക്കാൻ ഫലപ്രദമായ ഒരു നടപടിയും ഉത്തരവാദിത്തപ്പെട്ടവരുടെ ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നും ഉണ്ടാകുന്നതുമില്ല. ഇന്ത്യയിൽ തൊഴിലാളി സമൂഹത്തിന് പൊതുവെയും കാർഷിക വൃത്തിയിൽ ഏർപ്പെട്ടിട്ടുള്ളവർക്ക് പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ഈ ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ കൂടുതൽ ദുരിതം സമ്മാനിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇന്ന് ഇവരുടെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുവാൻ നമ്മോടൊപ്പം എത്തിയിട്ടുള്ളത് കർഷക രംഗത്തും കർഷക തൊഴിലാളി രംഗത്തും പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന ഡോക്ടർ ബിജു കൃഷ്ണനാണ്. മഹാരാഷ്ട്ര കർഷകരുടെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ ഉയർത്തിക്കൊണ്ട് 2018 നാസിക്കിൽ നിന്നും ബോംബെയിലേക്ക് നടത്തിയ ചരിത്രപ്രസിദ്ധമായ ലോങ് മാർച്ചിന്റെ പ്രധാന സംഘാടകരിൽ ഒരാളായിരുന്നു ഇദ്ദേഹം. I request Dr. Biju Krishnan, Joint Secretary, All India Kisan Sabha, to deliver the lecture on the subject issues faced by farmers and associated working class.
Dear friends, firstly I would like to thank the organizers, Jan Sanskriti, for having organized this live broadcast of on this a very important topic, that is how the COVID-19 lockdown and the epidemic have affected the Indian farmers and also the working class, especially the agriculture workers. It is very relevant to discuss this issue because, as we have all seen in the last almost more than 3 weeks that this lockdown has been going on, how a large section, billions of people, especially it has manifested in the way of the migrant workers fleeing from urban centers, from the cities. We have seen in Delhi itself how thousands of migrant workers were forced to flee from here due to the unplanned, unprepared kind of a lockdown that was announced by Narendra Modi and the BJP government. So this, though there was enough time for preparing for this kind of an epidemic and the kind of that a lockdown would be required, because almost from January end we have got the first case of COVID-19 in India, and even earlier you had the China was facing the crisis in Wuhan, and we all knew what was in store for the world in coming times. Despite that, the BJP government spent a long time, almost the entire February and almost up to March 22nd on various other things, like inviting the US President Trump and so on, and there was no preparedness as far as dealing with the crisis itself is concerned. Already the world has been going through a economic crisis, and in India itself we have been speaking about how the farmers and agriculture workers in our country are facing an acute agrarian crisis, and it has now become a common usage everywhere that how more than 4 lakh farmers have committed suicide due to the agrarian crisis because of the neoliberal economic policies that are being implemented in our country. From 95 onwards, more than 4 lakh farmers have committed suicide according to official statistics. The figures are much more higher. It is in such a situation of acute agrarian crisis that the COVID epidemic has struck, and this unprepared lockdown was imposed upon the people of our country. So what has happened as far as the farming community is concerned, the peasantry is concerned, agriculture workers are concerned? That is something which we have to look into. First and foremost, this was a year when people were expecting, experts were expecting that there would be a record output of wheat. There would be a bumper output of wheat crop in this particular season. That was something which was expected, because compared to the last year, almost 11% increase in acreage of the wheat cultivation took place in the last in this particular year, and it was expected that around 105 million tons would be the production. This would be a record production. It was in the context of such a bumper production which was expected that the lockdown was put into place. So once the lockdown was put into place, there was no, in the initial phase, from the very beginning, organizations like the All India Kisan Sabha and the Agriculture Workers Union and different organizations of the peasantry, the All India Kisan Sangharsh Coordination of more than 230 organizations of the farmers, we were all raising with the government that there should be enough safeguards to ensure that the harvesting processes are not hampered. There is no problem as far as transportation is concerned, and there would be migrant workers or the workers or local workers would be allowed to carry on the harvesting work with proper health protocol being maintained, whatever the WHO has said, with face masks and other maintaining some distance and so on. Unfortunately, the government did not speak anything on about this. The Prime Minister's speech, in the initial few speeches, we have seen how it has been calling upon people to express solidarity with the health workers and sanitation workers and so on. But for instance, banging of plates, clapping, burning of candles and the lamps, these kind of symbolic, a lot of effort was spent on these kind of symbolic campaigns. However, nothing concrete as far as to help the farmers, or for that matter, even those who are working in the health sector, was done in this many days. It took more than 5 or 6 days for the government to even come with a notification saying that harvesting would be allowed. In contrast, we see the Kerala government, by the Left Democratic Front government there, they announced that the harvesting of paddy would be treated as an essential service. That did not happen in the case of the central government's call. And here what we find, there has been a very interesting study by Professor Vikas Raval and a set of researchers, which has looked into the over the last 21 days, the amount of wheat and 6 other crops which have come into the markets. In around, looking into the figures from around 3,000 odd markets, mandis across the country, it has found that in a big way, there has been a shortfall compared to 2019. In the same period, same 21-day period, we find not even 6% of what was procured, what was sold in the market during the last year, during this period, has been so far sold in the market as far as wheat is concerned. That is, the situation is same as far as certain other crops like the chickpea or chana, mustard, potato, onion, tomato, and so on. So this is a serious situation which has happened. Here the government might claim that they had asked for a delayed harvest as far as Haryana and Punjab are concerned. Yes, Haryana and Punjab, the harvesting has been delayed, but it is to be noted, even last year, it was a delayed harvest in these two states. So if you see the central Indian states, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, and so on, it has been a situation where the mandis have almost been non-functional. And if you see last year, wheat was sold in this period almost in 940 mandis. This period, during this 21 days, it has been only in around 264 mandis. So this is something which we are seeing, that the food grains or other crops, one is the problem of harvesting. You are not having workers, migrant workers, because of the unplanned, unprepared nature of the lockdown. Many of them were under highly insecure conditions. They were forced to flee with not even proper facilities for them to go. And we all must remember, this migrant worker population also come from agrarian backgrounds. They are either from the peasant backgrounds or agriculture worker backgrounds, who in their lean season come to different parts of the country to help in the agricultural activities or in construction and other infrastructural development work. Even this section was forced to flee due to the unprepared lockdown. We find that because of this, harvesting activities could not be carried out. Once it is harvested, there is need for loading and unloading, the transportation facilities. In many places, it is the need for harvesters. Who will run these harvesters? The restrictions that were imposed, whether it was actually by government orders or by those who are implementing these orders on the ground, the restrictions in movement of food grains and other produce, that has been a major problem in this creating hurdles before getting the produce to the market. That is one. Another thing is the issue of the perishables. Whether you look at vegetables, fruits, flowers, and so on, there has been a big shortfall in these crops also coming to the market. Flowers almost a drastic fall in the purchase of flowers even, and we are getting stories from Uttar Pradesh, from Haryana, from Karnataka, how flowers like marigold, rose, and so on are being dumped because there is no marketing, there is no transportation facility, there is no marketing facilities. We are also facing a situation wherein the agriculture workers are not having any opportunities of employment. And you have a Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, which provisions that if there is no employment, then there is a provision for unemployment wage. Organizations like the All India Kisan Sabha and All India Agriculture Workers Union have been demanding that utilize this clause of unemployment wage and ensure that the agriculture workers would be given at least 300 rupees per day. That must be ensured, or the minimum wage of any state, whichever is highest, should be given to the agriculture workers. The government has taken no steps in this direction. The only step it has so far taken is to announce the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. The first installment of 2,000 rupees would be given to all the farmers, and it has already started coming to the accounts of the farmers. However, this was anyway due at this time. It is not something out of the it is not something granted because of the crisis at present. It was due around this time, and that 2000 has come. All India Kisan Sabha had demanded that 6,000 rupees should be transferred to every account of the farmer by now. Even here, when the finance minister made the announcement, now they are speaking about 8.6 crore farmers being beneficiaries of the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. However, when the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi was announced, and during the elections, there was a much hype and a lot of campaign that 14.5 crore farmers would benefit from this Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. Where have about 6 crore farmers suddenly vanished, that the finance minister has to say. And here too, we find that the tenant farmers are not included. The landless are not included. They don't benefit from this. If you take an example of a state like Andhra Pradesh, there are about 33 lakh tenant farmers who are denied the benefits of the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi. So we have demanded that it should be expanded to also ensure that the tenant farmers would benefit from it, the landless farmers would benefit from it, and the entire 6,000 which was there should be given, and the yearly whatever is to be given to the farmer per hectare should be at least 18,000. This is a demand that we have made. This is a time when there is a people are not having any income, whether it is the farmer or the agriculture worker. So we had made a specific demand that the farmers and the agriculture workers and all those below poverty, about 80 crore people of our country, should be given at least 5,000 rupees, and that making an assessment over time, it should be increased according to the necessities of the time, and the government should set aside about specifically for this the funds for this. We had initially made the demand of 5,000 crores. We have now, given the circumstances, the actual magnitude of the crisis, we have been demanding that it should be at least 7,500 should be given by direct benefit transfer scheme or through the Jan Dhan accounts and so on. What is happening is, from this case which I was mentioning about marigold being dumped by the farmers, they are getting in their Jan Dhan accounts 500 rupees. Some farmers are getting, who are under the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi, are getting 2,000 when the loss is lakhs of rupees. So that is the situation we are facing. Even the question of chana and mustard, which was getting about 4,800 rupees per quintal in Rajasthan, our friends from there, the Kisans from Rajasthan, are telling us that they are not even getting 1,000 rupees per quintal. So there is a crash in prices which the farmers are also facing, even in case they manage to transport their harvest to the markets, to the mandis. That is something, despite repeated assurances from the central government, nothing has been done. And here, the central government is now talking about a market intervention scheme, and which puts that the state government should bear 50% of the expense. State governments which are starved of funds, and the center is not even releasing what is due to the states, is now asking state governments to bear 50% of the for any market intervention scheme. That is actually killing the project in the bud itself. It is nipping in the bud this entire, whatever intention of this project is, if at all there is any good intention. So this is a problem that we are facing. Now, while globally we are talking about a work from home or lockdown where people should maintain a physical distance, as far as agriculture and agricultural operations are concerned, very clearly one cannot work from home. Agriculture cannot be controlled from the with your fingertips on a laptop or on your mobile. So this is something which the Prime Minister and the central government seems to have missed. There is also the issue of the fishing community. The fishing community is not able to venture out into the seas, and also the whatever produce they are getting, they are unable to sell. Here the question which has come that about ration and so on. We have on 21st of April, All India Kisan Sabha, All India Agriculture Workers, the CITU, the DYFI, IDWA, SFI, and numerous other organizations have given a call for a symbolic protest. We are saying no more hollow speeches, give ration, ensure income support. It is bhashans are enough. You have to ensure ration to everyone. Today in Gurgaon, we have seen how a migrant worker has committed suicide. This is the case. Studies indicate that a large majority of the people in the rural countryside or even in the urban poor have not got any benefit so far from the government schemes. This is a situation. There are certain other issues. Some crops, for instance, there is the issue of cardamom. If you don't water for 2 weeks, then the cardamom crop is almost destroyed. So in Kerala, we intervened with the government there. Kisan Sabha spoke to them, and it was provided from the very beginning that 5 workers could be used with masks and all that for actually watering the cardamom plants. So these kind of initiatives also have not come from the central government at a in a timely manner. Today, when there is this huge harvest, the question of food security is looming, and the threat of hunger deaths is something looming large. Whether people in India, more people will die of hunger than the COVID-19 itself. That is something which everyone is talking about. The Food and Agriculture Organization, the World Health Organization, all have been pointing out towards a situation where hunger deaths could happen in different parts of the world. Here, in India, for instance, there is no shortage of food grains. We have almost more than 3 times the buffer stock that is required. We have about 50 million tons of rice and about 27.5 million tons of wheat in our FCI godowns. But the government is not releasing it. You have to universalize the public distribution system and ensure any person who requires the food is given the food grains. It cannot be left in the godowns for rodents and rats to eat, or for you're finding a lot of it is also rotting. We are also having this upcoming wheat harvest which is there. So in terms of a food scarcity, that immediately is not going to be a major threat. But the problem is, even during the Great Bengal famine, it is not that the poor did not get access to the food. That was the crisis. Here also, we are finding a similar situation, and the food crisis could be another problem which will emerge in the coming days. So there are some questions also which are coming, whether in different parts of India you are finding people queuing up for food, or people running around a stampede-like of a situation for food. That is a situation which could be totally avoided if the central government was interested in it. That is something. If you look at the manner in which the Kerala government has handled this entire crisis, you'll find, other than the food grains, how many other provisions have been given to the more than 87 lakh beneficiaries in Kerala. That is, for instance, cooking oil, pulses, 2 or 3 varieties of pulses, spices and masala. They have even provided soaps, salt, sugar, and so on. We have made a demand that all these are required to be given to the needy across the country. It cannot be left as the responsibility of only states. We also find an unfortunate situation when states are fighting this epidemic and under extreme economic crisis. The central government is not coming forward in the required manner to provide a package to help these states. That is leading to further intensification of the crisis. So that is something which we have to also note. We have been seeing how perishables like fruits, grapes, apparently more than 1,000 crores is the loss for the grape farmers. From Karnataka, our farmer friends have been calling us and mentioning how they are forced to put the entire produce of grapes into the compost pit. It is the same situation as far as muskmelon, watermelon, cauliflower, cabbage, and different other crops are concerned. These are, even in the case of milk, there has been a big fall in the price of milk. In many places, people are forced to pour away the additional milk that has been that has been produced. There is we are finding a situation wherein certain specific crops, like the silk, for instance, the silk cocoons, we find that the silk cocoons are there is no buyer for the silk cocoons, and we all know that silk cocoons are not beyond. After a point, it's total loss for the farmers. So a country like India, it's a diverse country. Different crops are being grown in different areas, and the government should have had a strategy. There was enough time for that to prepare itself to face this crisis. It has not happened from the side of the government. It has, to a great extent, the states are in the forefront of the fight against COVID-19 epidemic, and the brunt is being borne by the states. The center has left not just the states to fend for itself, it has also left the migrant workers, the toiling masses, the peasantry to almost fend for themselves. So that is the situation we are facing in our country. And the protest which we are talking about here on 21st at 10:30, we are calling upon all citizens that to hold placards mentioning Bhashan Nahi Ration Do. We not hollow speeches. We want ration. We want income support. Arthik Sahayata Do. This is something that which we are with placards. We will stand in front of our houses across the country, maintaining the physical distance. That is something which we have we are planning for 21st of April. And to bring to the notice of the Prime Minister, the ruling class of our country, that so far whatever has been done is pittance. It has not addressed the crisis at all. We are also finding a situation that of as far as the rural population is concerned and the working class, the issue of the health crisis, other than the issues related to production, about crops, about harvesting, about the absence of labor, absence of employment, and the resulting loss of incomes and food insecurity, we have a situation where the health crisis is also going to hit the rural areas in a big manner. We don't have enough health facilities. There is no proper testing which is there. There is no, practically it is almost impossible to maintain the physical distance, which given the dismal state of our housing in our country, these all bring like never before the issues of public spending on education, health and housing and so on into the center stage now. Those are also issues which we need to take up. Organizations like All India Kisan Sabha, like Jan Sanskriti, like others who are listening, it is very much necessary that these issues are put into the center stage, because even countries which were the most vociferous in implementing neoliberal economic policies are now today talking about welfare measures. They are talking about pensions. They are talking about the public funded health or nationalization of health facilities. These are things which unfortunately there is no kind of effort in the direction by the central government to make health, expand health facilities, to make it accessible to even the poorest of our country, the peasants, the agriculture workers, and so on. In such a circumstance, due to the loss of incomes because of the harvesting and related problems, due to the loss of income, due to loss of employment, non-farm employment is reducing. People who were supplementing their incomes, meager incomes from farms with working in other sectors, that is almost coming to a standstill. You are having a situation where the farmers and agriculture workers, the rural poor, are unable to buy the essential goods. So this has to be provisioned by the central government. Central government taking the maximum responsibility for it, helping out the states. This is very much required. Unfortunately, nothing is coming in this direction. No efforts are coming in this direction, and I think this is another major problem that we are facing. There are few other issues which I would like to mention. That already more than 200 people have died due to the unprepared manner of the lockdown, due to those who were marching hundreds of kilometers back to their home towns, and some who have committed suicide, and so on. That is not due to the disease alone, but due to the manner in which the lockdown has been implemented. So that is something which is a problem that has happened already. We are also now in many parts of India, it is about harvest time, or it is the time for sowing for the next season. For instance, rajma, maize, in many areas, rice sowing. So there is need for provision of quality seeds and other inputs at seeds free and in other inputs at affordable rates. There is need for waiver of loans in such when the farmers are facing crisis, when lakhs of crores of loans and other concessions are given to the corporate sector. The government is just not bothered about the rural population, the farmers and agriculture workers, the tenant cultivators and so on. The rural artisans, they are facing a major problem. Fishing community is facing a major problem. The Adivasi community who gather the minor forest produce, they are facing a major problem. So it is a crisis much, much bigger than demonetization. I think if the government does not pull up its socks and come up with measures immediately, we are in for a huge human tragedy. Now, I think I have tried to cover most of the immediate issues which are there. There are some questions which have been listed. I would like to address those questions now. Yes, Ram.
Yeah. Thanks, Viju. This was something, a very diverse subject and something that, while COVID is broadly seen as a health crisis, the surrounding determinants of that, it is, something that you have listed very well. And I would like to start with a kind of horrifying question where you ended. You said that we are, in the verge of a huge human crisis. So should we anticipate a famine kind of situation immediately after the COVID lockdowns and all that, because of the kind of way the government would have handled this? And also, should we anticipate a food crisis? If at all, how can we look at and how can we face this situation? Yeah.
No, actually, if the buffer stock, I told you, more than 3 times the buffer stock is available in the godowns. The government will have to release it. Otherwise, it is going to lead to a crisis. Usually, famines are in a situation of a shortage of food. At least in the immediate future, we are not facing such a situation. If the present harvest is destroyed, or you're only in such a circumstance, in a foreseeable future, we can have a situation like that. It depends, and that is why the protests like the 21st protest is very important to ensure that this government acts.
Yeah, thank you. So one other thing, you mentioned Kerala government's actions, how it is farmer friendly and all that. Since you are working with farmers and farmer organizations across the country, which other states are having some empathy to the farmer issues and dealing some positive things, and what all are the examples other than Kerala, and also if there are some other narrative that you want to bring in from Kerala, so that statewide how things are varying, how is it useful for farmers and how is it difficult for farmers? Yeah.
So actually, as of now, certain steps have been taken in some states, which still on the ground it is not. You see, farmers get a confidence only when on the ground it is visible. So, for instance, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, they have been assuring that more vehicles will go to procure horticultural crops and so on. But on the ground, that is not happening. Or it is either it is too less to meet the present crisis. That is the situation. As far as Kerala is concerned, certain things which we have to see. The initiative to have about 236,000 volunteers, a community support system that is there. About how community kitchens are coming up. Now you see in many parts of India, the community kitchens and distribution of food grains, we as class and mass organizations, our CITU, Kisan Sabha, agriculture workers, DYFI, IDWA, we are setting up these community kitchens, etc., and distributing food grains and vegetables. This initiative should have come from the government. The central government should have extended enough assistance to the states to put in place such a thing. Another issue is the issue of the threat of job losses of migrant workers. It's going to be a huge crisis. One thing is, you see the lockdown, the disease is, lockdown is only flattening the curve. You could have asymptomatic carriers and others still existing.
Definitely.
And that is something which India is still not equipped to. There is need for rapid testing. I was citing the case of Burundi, African country, where one doctor was mentioning how Burundi at that time had 0 cases of COVID-19. But Burundi also had 0 tests. So only if there are tests, you will know whether there is. So that is the situation in India also. It's dismally low for every million. The tests which are being done is dismally low. So that is another issue.
Yeah, it's close to 200 as an average.
Yeah.
So one other thing is, since this is the time that we cannot, call it a fortunate time. It is unfortunate, but one positive side of it that people are now listening the problems of farmers and agricultural workers and migrant workers. There is some, ears are open now. So one issue may be important for you to reflect on is what is the root cause of this apathy that is happening across states. Although they have declared schemes, it is not started to function. DBTs and Yojanas are they've declared this, but the meager kind of amounts are reaching people, and that also are not reaching to most of the needy people. So how would you see what is the reason for this apathy, and how the administration can address this?
So apathy that is there today is part of the neoliberal paradigm. The neoliberal paradigm talks about withdrawal of the state from social sector spending. And that is the paradigm that the Narendra Modi-led BJP government and earlier some of the Congress-led governments also have followed the same policies. It is very much visible that a huge tragedy as far as the agrarian masses, more than 4 lakh farmers have committed suicide according to government statistics. Despite that, they are not willing to address that crisis. We know that the free trade agreements are leading to a crisis for Indian farmers. Still, they are going in for free trade agreements like ASEAN or free trade agreement or RCEP and so on. So essentially, this has to be overcome. So there is a need. The fragility of the neoliberal model has been exposed by the COVID-19 pandemic. So that is something which we need to hit at, and we need to emphasize more government spending, more people first. People should be put above anything else. It cannot be the Modani model, Modi and Adani's model of corporate loot cannot be allowed. So that is something, and surely given this crisis, it affects all sections. The rich are also not untouched by this. They are also as much vulnerable to this. So it is forcing different sections to look at this entire situation now. And they will have to shed this apathy, and all of us will have to work in that direction.
So in this situation, one of the questions that has come is about whether there is a role for the cooperative movement in the, is there a possibility for a short-term organization of some cooperative movement wherein farmers and agricultural workers and others can come together and to try to set up some, people's movement towards addressing some of these issues? Is there a scope for that?
Oh, surely, cooperative movement, or even you see the Kerala's model of the Kudumbashree, how
Right.
in the success of the community kitchens, their role in the dispersal of the pensions, the role of the panchayats, the cooperative banks, all these. Surely the possibility of these kind of initiatives are all the more coming out in this particular time. And that is something which we must try to strengthen such networks. It needs to be democratized. There are cooperatives in some areas which are totally under the control of the rich landlord sections, and that is not benefiting the poorer sections of the peasantry or the agriculture workers. So a cooperative bringing together the worker peasant initiatives can help. It can be, we have successful models where, for instance, agricultural implements are together provided for the farmers without much expense at a reduced cost. And we are having in Kerala itself examples of farmers, the peasant cooperatives into meat processing, into vegetable, into processing of different value addition is something which is there. So those are there. You see, what is the situation? Pulses are grown in Gulbarga. Arhar dal, tuar dal is grown in, but there is no procurement. So your farmer is not getting the minimum support price. This minimum support price is only on paper.
I was about to ask about minimum support price. Yeah.
Yeah. So what
I was
is
about to
happening
ask
is
about the
one of
Go
our
ahead.
farmer leaders used to mention that people are asking for sugar, and the ruler just writes on a piece of paper sugar and gives it to the people. It is like that. MSP also, most farmers don't benefit. It is only notional. It is on paper because there is no procurement. So you see, in Kerala, for instance, paddy is procured at 2650 per quintal, 2650 per quintal. But the central MSP is only 1830. And in most parts of India, farmers are not getting even 1,000 rupees. So in all these sectors, there is a possibility of involving cooperatives, farmers cooperatives in procurement, in storage, in processing, value addition, marketing, and so on.
So you said, Viju, that agriculture is something, an activity that happens in the field. It cannot be done from home or laptop. That's a very important understanding we would have expected all the governments to have. So what would have made the governments to miss out on this thing? Where is it coming from?
So actually, it is like I mentioned, the neoliberal paradigm, and now this entire talk about digital India and so on. This government has from beginning been talking about how there is a mobile app for farmers and so on. It is, you see, when many migrant workers are calling us on a daily basis, distress calls are coming. In some places where we are trying to transfer money, they are not even having their bank accounts. There is no ATM cards. So that is the situation as far as rural India is concerned. It is in such circumstance you are talking about how we are having the best apps on the mobile for farmers, how productivity can be increased and so on. Firstly, you need to have the soil should be fertile. Fertility of the soil should be ensured. There has to be the best quality seeds should be provided. There has to be access to water, and the working class who will labor in on the farms, they should be able to get proper wage and proper food. They should be able to feed their own families. These are important, and those are not happening. In the name of biometric, in the name of Aadhaar and UID and so on, we have seen even during the long march which you were mentioning about, a lot of people were being denied of the food. So while during the Bengal famine, you had children standing on both sides of the road demanding chawal do, give rice. Now Santoshi in Digital India is shouting Bad do, dying by crying for rice. So the situation of Digital India is not very much different. Every year in every state, thousands are dying of malnutrition. And COVID, to fight COVID, one has to be having good nutrition. That is not being addressed by the government.
I hope we are not going to talk about e-food. I hope that is not going to be the case. And one important aspect that you discussed was about fisheries workers. And they happen to be feeding us in a large sense, but for some reason, what could be done for the fisheries workers? Many governments are still struggling, I understand. So any suggestions for that specific group of workers?
See, one of the things, I was just reading a report by Kunal Shankar in The Wire yesterday from Tamil Nadu, how these boats were not allowed to go onto the sea for a long time. That deprived them of their earnings. The other thing is they are all on the seashore, most of them close to the sea. It's all, and there is no this physical distancing possible. So in such circumstance, we always say that it is not social distancing like Modi government is talking about. It is physical distancing, and there is need for a social solidarity. The government should express solidarity and come with concrete measures. Now there has been some relaxation for some of these boats to go into the sea, but the government comes with impractical. In Tamil Nadu, apparently they have said the boats should have only people from their own families. Ostensibly, it is to actually ensure that there is no spread of the disease and so on. But that is not how fishing takes place. People experience who have an experience and coming from different families, they go together to the seas. So that is something which is a problem. And then reaching it out to the market without spoilage. That is a problem which we saw in poultry also. Poultry feed is not there. Cattle feed is not there. Poultry, the 1 kg which farmers used to get around 80 rupees, now coming down to 24, 25 rupees a kg. Since there is no poultry feed, there are the chicken, they are pecking each other and killing each other. So lots of losses. The government should actually make an assessment about what is the nature of losses that is going to be suffered. They should make a assessment of the income loss and the yield loss, and there should be whatever the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, which so far has not benefited a large section of farmers, they must expand it to ensure there is a proper compensation for the losses suffered by the farmers, by the fishing community, by the Adivasis, by the agriculture workers. That is very much required.
So one aspect, probably you can throw important light on is how the International Organization on Agriculture, Labor, and all are responding to this situation. How would you like them to come to the fore and pressurize the governments, not only in India? This could be similar situation in other countries also. How would you see that?
No, actually, you see the World Health Organization, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the ILO, Labor Organization, all have been flagging the different issues. And they have been pointing out that this kind of a crisis would come in. But to a great extent, it is the answer to the crisis. The mitigation of the crisis or mitigation of the suffering of the people can only happen if the government is responsible. They are a responsive government with a political will, which is clear that it will protect its farmers, its agriculture workers, its workers, and the poor. That is something which is required. So far, while in speeches the Prime Minister has been making those kind of pronouncements, nothing has come on the ground. So hopefully, when on 22nd they are going to review the situation, something will come from that. And by May 3rd, much before May 3rd, because now it is the harvest time for wheat in Punjab and Haryana also. Whatever hurdles are there, that will be removed. Here, one question which is there is about the procurement of produce directly from the farmers. We have been saying this earlier that in far-fetched areas, mobile procurement should be there. And this is an extraordinary situation. In an extraordinary situation, the government is expected to come with extraordinary kind of measures to address the problems of the people. Yeah, solutions, innovative solutions. Unfortunately, that is not there. We have had some places we have seen how food grains at the doorstep. There is a Nasik, there was a effort by our then MLA, JP Gavit, where food grains would be given, PDS food grains would be given at the doorstep. So if it is possible, if there is a will, surely there is a way. Unfortunately, that is not visible in this government.
Yeah. So now I would put up the last question, which is about, you told about this acute agrarian crisis that we are into, and post-COVID, it is not that very short time that we are going to be into COVID. It's going to be a little more longer time. Even though the post-COVID situation, what should be the key things that the governments, both national government and state government, should prioritize from now, so that immediately after the peaks of the disease is over, the farmers and agricultural workers and various other workers can at least they have some kind of peace in doing their activities. Do you have some recommendations for that?
No, you rightly mentioned that this is a long drawn struggle. It is not going to end by May 3rd. So that is one. Yeah. And it has been rightly mentioned. What are the steps to be put in place? We have been demanding, firstly, ensuring the present harvest, whatever is there, and the procurement at cost plus 50%. Farmers are not getting still this cost plus 50%. So that is one thing. We have been saying that freedom from indebtedness. Now, so far the farm loans, there is nothing being mentioned about waiving the farm loans. That is something, waiver of all farm loans, that will give confidence to the farmers. Seeds, fertilizers, and so on, providing it, and also interest-free loans for the next season. This is something which is required. And the workers, how the workers would take part in the agricultural activities. What are the protection, the health protocols which are required? That has to be also looked into. And these kits would have to be provided to the farmers and agriculture workers. And according to that, there would have to be harvesting, sowing, and such activities will have to be allowed. Another issue is the issue of the food. We have been demanding that at least 35 kgs of food grains. Other essentials should be given. These are also aspects which add to the issues of the farmers and agriculture workers. The health expenditure, that is something to be. There is also the families of these farmers and agriculture workers who are students. Their expenses, their studies have been hit. Their fees, what about their fees in the next coming days? In all these, a holistic approach will have to be taken up, and surely there has been an issue which has been raised about how there has been a decrease in consumption. And obviously, only when the things which are produced, firstly, it should be in the market, and it should be purchased. You see, some of the crops which I was mentioning, the study which I was mentioning about 7 crops, the traders are not paying higher. Though there is a shortage of the produce, there is a dip in the price. That is the situation. That means there is a demand also has fallen considerably. So that the traders are making use of that to actually further depress the prices for the farming community. It is in such places that the government should come in with some kind of a price stabilization, a market intervention scheme to ensure that the farmers don't lose out on their earnings.
Thanks, Viju. It was very, important point that has come. And one more important dimension of this COVID outbreak, you have covered it well. Over to you, Shashi. I think all questions that has come is over.
Thank you, Dr. Viju Krishnan, for delivering the speech on issues faced by farmers and working class at the time of Corona and lockdown. In the Jan Sanskriti's 15-day Facebook live series. This is the 5th day. Thank you, Dr. Viju Krishnan, Dr. Raman. നാളത്തെ 6ാമത്തെ ദിവസമുള്ള സബ്ജക്ട് ലോക്ക്ഡൌൺ കാലത്ത് വിവിധ മേഖലകളിൽ സ്ത്രീകൾ നേരിടുന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ എന്ന വിഷയത്തിൽ സുപ്രീം കോടതി അഭിഭാഷക അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് രശ്മിത രാമചന്ദ്രൻ സംസാരിക്കുന്നതാണ്. എല്ലാവരെയും നാളത്തെ FB സീരീസിലേക്ക് ക്ഷണിക്കുകയാണ്. അതുപോലെ വരും ദിവസങ്ങളിൽ നമ്മുടെ പ്രിയങ്കരായ രാജ്യസഭ MP ശ്രീ ബിനോയ് വിശ്വം വരുന്നതാണ്. അതുപോലെ ലോകപ്രശസ്ത മാജിഷ്യൻ പ്രൊഫസർ ഗോപിനാഥ് മുതുകാട്, അതുപോലെ യുണൈറ്റഡ് നേഷന്റെ ഈ വിദഗ്ധനായ ശ്രീ മുരളി തുമാരക്കുടി എന്നിവരെല്ലാം ഈ സീരീസിൽ, പ്രൊഫസർ സുനിൽ പി ഇളയടം, പ്രൊഫസർ സച്ചിദാനന്ദൻ, വിവിധ മേഖലയിലുള്ള പ്രഗത്ഭരായ പലരും ഈ സീരീസിൽ വരുന്നതാണ്. എല്ലാവരെയും ക്ഷണിക്കുകയാണ്. ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി ഡോക്ടർ ബിജു, ഡോക്ടർ രാമൻ, അതുപോലെ ശശികുമാർ, ബാബുരാജ്, എല്ലാവർക്കും നന്ദി. ഈ സീരീസ് കണ്ട എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി നന്ദി പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം. ഗുഡ് നൈറ്റ്.
Good night.